What if I told you that the most profound secrets of existence aren't hidden in ancient texts or buried in forgotten temples, but have been hiding in plain sight all along in the very patterns that make up the fabric of reality itself? The circles, that form when raindrops hit still water, the spiral of a nautilus shell, the hexagonal cells of a honeycomb. These aren't random occurrences of nature, but whispers of a universal language, one that predates human civilization, yet speaks directly to something ancient within us. Sacred geometry isn't just beautiful patterns that ancient cultures used to decorate their temples. It's a skeleton key to understanding the blueprint of creation itself, from the microscopic dance of atoms to the sweeping arms of galaxies. For thousands of years, initiates of mystery schools from Egypt to Greece, from India to the Americas, guarded these geometric principles as their most treasured secrets. Not because they wanted to hoard knowledge, but because they understood something our modern world has forgotten. These patterns don't just describe reality, they create it. Today, we're going to peel back the veil on what sacred geometry truly is. Beyond the pretty pictures, beyond the superficial interpretations you might find in mainstream books, we're diving into why these forms were considered sacred, how they bridge the gap between consciousness and matter, and most importantly, how you can use this ancient wisdom to transform your perception of reality itself. What the ancient mystics knew and what quantum physicists are only beginning to rediscover is that these sacred forms aren't merely symbolic. They're operational, they're functional. They're the very tools the universe uses to manifest from the realm of potential into the world of form. By the end of our journey today, you'll never look at a circle, a triangle, or a spiral the same way again. And you'll understand why some of history's greatest minds, from Pythagoras to Leonardo da Vinci, from Nikola Tesla to Einstein, were obsessed with these patterns that dance at the edge of consciousness and creation. Are you ready to discover the real meaning of sacred geometry? Let's begin. Long before written language, before organized religion, even before the first cities rose from the dust, our ancestors were mapping the stars and carving perfect geometric forms into stone. From the megalithic structures of Malta to the pyramids of Egypt, from Angkor Wat to Stonehenge, civilizations, separated by vast oceans and millennia, somehow shared an obsession with the same geometric principles. But why? What did they understand that we've forgotten? In the hushed temples of ancient Egypt, geometric knowledge was reserved for the highest initiates of the mystery schools. The Pythagorean Brotherhood of ancient Greece treated their geometric discoveries as sacred secrets, punishable by death if revealed to the uninitiated. The Sanskrit texts of India described the creation of the universe through the unfolding of geometric patterns they called yantra. The flower of life pattern has been discovered etched into the granite walls of the Osirian temple in Abydos, Egypt, a structure so ancient that even the Egyptians of the dynastic period considered it an enigma from a forgotten time. This same symbol appears in the ancient synagogues of Galilee, in Forbidden City temples of China, and hidden in the art of Leonardo da Vinci. Plato, in his dialogue Timaeus, proposed that the entire physical universe was constructed from just 5 three-dimensional forms: the tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron. What's remarkable is that modern chemistry has confirmed that molecular structures indeed follow these exact patterns. The building blocks of matter itself conform to what the ancients called the Platonic solids. During the Dark Ages in Europe, this knowledge didn't disappear, it went underground. The alchemists preserved sacred geometry in coded manuscripts, disguising profound cosmological principles as recipes for turning lead into gold. What they were really describing was the transmutation of consciousness itself. Later, the master builders of Gothic cathedrals embedded these same principles into their architecture without ever revealing their secrets. The Cathedral of Chartres airs nothing less than a geometric symphony frozen in stone, a textbook of sacred proportions that encoded knowledge that couldn't be openly taught during the Inquisition. The Renaissance wasn't just a rebirth of classical art, it was a rediscovery of this hidden geometric knowledge. When Leonardo da Vinci drew his famous Vitruvian Man, he wasn't just creating an anatomical study. He was demonstrating how the human form itself embodies divine proportion, the same proportions found in galaxies, hurricanes, and DNA molecules. This brings us to a profound question. Why has this knowledge been systematically obscured, ridiculed, and forgotten by our modern world? Perhaps because understanding sacred geometry doesn't just change what you know, it transforms how you perceive. The knowledge was hidden because it reveals an uncomfortable truth. The material world we take for granted is merely the surface of a deeper geometric reality, one that responds directly to consciousness itself. This isn't merely philosophical speculation. It's the foundation of a science of reality that bridges the artificial divide between spirit and matter. What the ancient priesthoods knew, and what cutting-edge physics is now rediscovering, is that these geometric patterns aren't just descriptive tools. They're the actual mechanisms through which consciousness crystallizes into physical form. They are the interface between mind and matter. And this is where our journey truly begins, understanding how these patterns serve as the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and manifestation, between the world of pure consciousness and the world of physical experience. To understand sacred geometry at its most fundamental level, we must begin where creation itself begins, with a single point. From this point emerges the first motion extension into a line. When this line rotates around the point, we create the first sacred form, the circle. The circle is unity, wholeness, the endless cycle of time. Every point on its circumference is equidistant from its center, perfect balance, perfect equality. When a second circle is drawn so that its center lies on the circumference of the first, we create the vesica piscis, the cosmic womb from which all geometric forms are born. This intersection creates a unique space, one that ancient traditions worldwide recognized as the birthplace of manifest reality. The proportions of this intersection aren't random. They precisely generate the square, root of 3, an irrational number that can't be expressed as a simple fraction. Already we're encountering one of the profound mysteries of sacred geometry, how these patterns naturally generate the irrational numbers that govern the harmony of the universe. When we continue this process of creating circles centered on the intersections, we form the seed of life, 7 interlocking circles that contain every line needed to create the Platonic solids. 7 days of creation, 7 musical notes, 7 colors of the rainbow. This pattern appears repeatedly throughout nature and ancient wisdom traditions. Expanding further, we reach the flower of life, a pattern of such profound significance that it appears in the most sacred sites across the world. But why? What makes this particular arrangement so special? Hidden within this seemingly simple pattern are the templates for all 5 Platonic solids, the only perfectly symmetrical 3-dimensional forms possible in our universe. These forms aren't just mathematical curiosities, they're the fundamental building blocks of physical reality. Modern chemistry confirms what the ancients intuited. The elements of our physical world arrange themselves according to these exact geometric patterns. Water molecules form tetrahedral structures. Salt crystals form perfect cubes. Carbon, the foundation of all life on Earth, bonds in the same patterns found in the flower of life. Even the spiraling ladder of our DNA follows the proportions of the golden ratio, a special relationship between numbers that creates what we perceive as balance, harmony, and beauty. This isn't coincidence. It's evidence that these geometric principles are literally encoded into the fabric of life itself. The Fibonacci sequence, where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones, generates a spiral that appears everywhere in nature. In the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, in the branching of trees, in the spiral of galaxies. What's remarkable is that this sequence approaches the golden ratio with increasing accuracy as it extends. When we see a face we consider beautiful, we're responding to these same proportions. When music moves us emotionally, we're resonating with these same mathematical relationships translated into sound waves. Sacred geometry isn't abstract, it's the very foundation of our aesthetic and emotional experience. When sound waves interact with physical matter, they naturally create geometric patterns. This field of study, known as cymatics, reveals how formless vibration translates into structured form, another key to understanding how consciousness shapes reality through geometric principles. Ancient yogic traditions understood this connection between geometry and consciousness. The yantra geometric meditation devices were designed to attune human awareness to specific cosmic frequencies. Each chakra in the subtle body corresponds to a specific geometric form, a specific element, a specific frequency of consciousness. But this isn't just ancient mysticism. Physicist Nassim Haramein has proposed that the fundamental structure of space-time itself follows these same geometric patterns at the quantum level. The vacuum energy that permeates all of existence appears to be organized according to a three-dimensional version of the flower of life. Perhaps most astonishing is how these same patterns repeat at every scale of existence, from the atomic to the galactic. This principle, known as self-similarity or fractal geometry, suggests that the universe isn't just embedded with sacred geometry, it's a vast expression of it, repeating the same patterns endlessly at different scales. The neural networks in our brains mirror the cosmic web of galaxies and dark matter. The electrical discharge of lightning follows the same patterns as river networks and leaf veins. Once you begin to see these connections, you realize something profound. The universe isn't just mathematical, it's geometric at its very core. This knowledge allowed ancient temple builders to create structures that interacted with celestial events with astonishing precision. The Great Pyramid doesn't just embody pi and phi in its proportions. It's aligned to stellar configurations with accuracy that would challenge our modern technology. But we've only scratched the surface of what sacred geometry truly is. To understand its real meaning, we need to explore why these patterns were considered sacred in the first place, and how they serve as a bridge between consciousness and matter. Now that we've established the foundations, let's venture into deeper waters beyond the superficial understanding of sacred geometry that's become popularized in modern spiritual circles. The first misconception we must address is that sacred geometry is merely symbolic. Our ancestors didn't carve these patterns into stone and build massive temples aligned to them simply as metaphors or decorative elements. They understood something that our materialist worldview has obscured. These patterns are operational. To grasp this, we need to understand that the physical world emerges from patterns of vibration. Every particle, every atom, every molecule is, at its core, a standing wave pattern, a vibration frozen into form. Sacred geometry doesn't just describe these patterns, it generates them. When water is vibrated at certain frequencies, it naturally forms into geometric patterns that mirror those found in sacred geometry. This isn't mysticism, it's physics. Matter organizes itself along geometric pathways determined by resonant frequencies. Ancient cultures built chambers with precise geometric proportions, not just for aesthetic reasons, but to create specific acoustic properties. These spaces were designed to induce altered states of consciousness through resonant frequencies that the human brain naturally entrains to. Inside your brain, the pineal gland contains microscopic crystals of calcite, the same mineral that forms perfect geometric crystals in nature. These crystals are piezoelectric, meaning they respond to electromagnetic frequencies and can convert them into mechanical vibration and vice versa. The pyramid shape isn't arbitrary. Its geometry naturally focuses electromagnetic and possibly other subtle energies to its center. Recent experiments have shown that pyramid structures can affect the rate of decay in organic materials and even influence the crystallization patterns of water. Here lies another misconception, that simply wearing geometric symbols or placing them in your environment automatically generates beneficial effects. The ancients would find this amusing at best, dangerous at worst. Without understanding the operational principles behind these forms, we're like children playing with scientific equipment we don't understand. The missing piece in modern understanding is the role of consciousness. The research of Dr. Masaru Emoto suggests that water can form more harmonious crystalline structures when exposed to positive intention. If water, which makes up most of our physical bodies, responds to consciousness, perhaps the geometric patterns of sacred geometry serve as amplifiers or directors of intention. Modern research has confirmed that the human heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, a field that extends beyond our physical form and interacts with the fields of others. This field naturally forms a toroidal shape, one of the most fundamental patterns in sacred geometry, seen everywhere from apples to magnetic fields to galaxies. When Buddhist monks enter deep meditation states, their brainwaves show remarkable coherence organization into harmonious patterns rather than chaotic ones. Could the ancients have used sacred geometric forms as tools to induce similar states of neural coherence? Even the controversial phenomenon of crop circles merits examination. Whatever their origin, many contain mathematical concepts like fractal, equations, representations of DNA structure, and even responses to mathematical problems posed by scientists, all rendered in perfect geometric form, often created overnight in complex media like wheat fields. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the Tree of Life diagram isn't just a symbolic representation of cosmic forces. It's a precise map of how consciousness descends from unity into multiplicity. Each geometric arrangement on this map corresponds to specific qualities of consciousness, from the most abstract to the most concrete. When counter-rotating electromagnetic fields interact, they naturally generate the same patterns found in sacred geometry. This principle has been demonstrated in laboratory settings and may explain the geometric patterns that appear in plasma physics experiments. The famous double-slit experiment in quantum physics demonstrates that particles behave as waves until they're observed, at which point they collapse into particles. This observer effect suggests that consciousness itself interacts with the geometric wave patterns of potential to create manifest reality. Each geometric form generates a specific energy field. The cube grounds and stabilizes. The sphere unifies and protects. The tetrahedron activates and energizes. The dodecahedron connects and expands awareness. Ancient temples were designed as geometric compositions to generate specific field effects for specific purposes, from healing to initiation to astronomical alignment. What's remarkable is that cultures separated by vast distances and with no apparent contact used identical geometric forms for similar purposes. The same patterns appear in Mayan temples, Egyptian pyramids, Gothic cathedrals, Hindu mandalas, and Chinese medicine. This suggests not cultural diffusion, but independent discovery of the same universal principles. Metatron's cube, a complex sacred geometric pattern, contains within its structure all 5 Platonic solids simultaneously. It serves as a map of the fundamental structures of physical reality, all nested within each other in perfect mathematical harmony. Without necessarily understanding the deeper principles, modern technology often rediscovers and utilizes these same geometric forms. Satellite dishes, acoustic lenses, geodesic domes, and antenna arrays all leverage sacred geometric principles for their functionality. But perhaps the most profound insight is this: you are sacred geometry in motion. Your DNA, your cells, your organs, your bioelectric field all follow these same patterns. You aren't separate from these principles. You're a walking embodiment of them. And this brings us to the true meaning of sacred geometry. It's the interface between consciousness and matter, between the unmanifest and the manifest, between potential and actuality. These patterns don't just exist in the physical world, they're the templates through which consciousness itself takes form. Now that we've explored the profound principles behind sacred geometry, you might be wondering, how can I actually use this knowledge in my daily life? This isn't just abstract information to contemplate, it's practical wisdom that can transform your experience of reality itself. Let's begin with something accessible to everyone: the practice of drawing sacred geometric patterns. This isn't mere doodling. It's a form of moving meditation that synchronizes the hemispheres of your brain and attunes your awareness to cosmic principles. You'll need only simple tools: a compass, a straight edge, and paper. Begin with a perfect circle, the symbol of unity and wholeness. As you place the point of your compass and sweep the arc, feel yourself connecting to the same motion that creates galaxies and atoms. This isn't symbolic. The very act of creating a perfect geometric form aligns your consciousness with universal principles. Try creating the flower of life pattern we discussed earlier. With each circle you add, notice how your mind becomes quieter, more focused. Many practitioners report that regular geometric drawing induces states of flow and insight impossible to achieve through conventional meditation for beginners. Another practical application involves arranging crystals in sacred geometric patterns. Crystals naturally embody geometric principles in their molecular structure. making them natural amplifiers of these forms. A simple hexagonal grid using clear quartz points can be used to energize water, crystals, or other objects placed in its center. The geometric arrangement creates a coherent energy field that enhances the natural properties of whatever is placed within it. Sacred geometry can also be incorporated into your living space. The proportions of furniture arrangement, the patterns in your decor, even the layout of your garden can all be designed according to sacred geometric principles. Many report that spaces designed this way feel more harmonious, supportive, and energetically balanced. You don't need to be an interior designer to benefit from this. Something as simple as incorporating the seed of life pattern as a decorative element on a wall can serve as both a focal point for meditation and a subtle harmonic influence on the space. Your body itself is a sacred geometric instrument. Certain yoga postures deliberately create geometric forms with the human body: triangles, squares, circles. These aren't arbitrary shapes. They're designed to create specific energetic effects in your subtle anatomy. When you form a triangle with your body in poses like Trikonasana, you're literally embodying the principle of dynamic stability. The triangle is the most stable geometric form. It cannot be distorted without changing the length of one of its sides. When your body creates this shape, it's not just stretching muscles, it's tuning your entire energetic system to this quality of stable dynamism. Even simpler are geometric hand positions, known as mudras in the yogic tradition. By forming specific shapes with your hands, you can influence your subtle energy system in precise ways. The Gyan Mudra, touching the thumb and index finger to form a circle while extending the other fingers, creates a circuit that enhances mental clarity and receptivity. Visualization practices using sacred geometry can be profoundly transformative. Try this simple exercise. Close your eyes and visualize a perfect golden sphere surrounding your entire body. Feel its perfect symmetry, its protective boundary. Then visualize it filled with pure white light. Many find this single practice more effective for psychic protection than complex rituals. For clearing spaces of discordant energies, visualize or physically create a tetrahedron, the simplest of the platonic solids in each corner of a room. Mentally connect them to form a larger tetrahedron, encompassing the entire space. This geometric structure acts as an energetic reset button, returning the space to harmonic balance. Some researchers suggest that water can be structured or programmed through exposure to sacred geometric patterns. A simple experiment: print the flower of life pattern and place a glass of water on it for an hour before drinking. Many report the water tastes fresher and more energetically alive after this treatment. Breathing practices become more powerful when combined with sacred geometry. Try breathing in a three-dimensional star tetrahedron pattern. Inhale up from earth through your feet, meeting cosmic energy coming down through your crown. Visualize these energies meeting at your heart center, forming a perfect geometric balance of ascending and descending forces. You can even apply sacred geometric principles to practical decision-making. When facing a complex choice, try mapping the factors involved onto a geometric form like a hexagon, with each point representing one factor. This spatial arrangement often reveals patterns and relationships invisible to linear thinking. Of course, you'll encounter obstacles. The most common is perfectionism, the frustration that comes when your hand-drawn geometry isn't precise enough. Remember that the ancients valued the process as much as the result. The very act of striving for geometric perfection attunes your consciousness to these principles, even if the final form has imperfections. The deepest meaning of sacred geometry is this: it's the reflection of your own consciousness in the mirror of reality. These patterns don't just exist out there in the world, they exist within you, as the very structure of your awareness, looking back at itself through the kaleidoscope of creation. What the ancient mystery schools understood and protected so carefully wasn't just mathematical knowledge. It was the realization that consciousness and reality are not separate. The same patterns that organize galaxies organize your thoughts. The same proportions that create harmony in music create coherence in your mind. When you begin to perceive these patterns in your daily life, something profound shifts. The artificial boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve. You start to recognize yourself not as a separate entity looking out at an alien universe, but as a holographic expression of the same principles that govern all of existence. This isn't mystical poetry, so it's the foundation of a new understanding of consciousness that bridges ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. The geometry isn't just sacred because ancient temples were built with it. It's sacred because it reveals the underlying unity of all things, including you. As you leave this exploration and return to your daily life, I invite you to see with new eyes. Notice the spirals in flowing water, the hexagons in snowflakes, the golden proportions in the face of someone you love. These aren't coincidences or merely aesthetic patterns. They're glimpses into the geometric intelligence that orchestrates all of reality. Begin simply. Draw a perfect circle. Plant a garden with sacred proportions. Arrange your living space according to geometric harmony. These aren't superficial changes. They're alignments with the same principles that govern stars and atoms, bringing your personal reality into greater coherence with cosmic reality. Remember that you're not applying something foreign to your life. You're remembering what you already are, a living expression of the same geometric intelligence that designs galaxies and orchestrates the dance of subatomic particles. The real meaning of sacred geometry isn't found in ancient texts or esoteric teachings. It's written in the language of creation itself, waiting to be recognized by those with eyes to see and hearts open to remember. The universe isn't just mathematical at its core, it's geometric. And that geometry isn't just beautiful, it's intelligent. An intelligence that you can commune with directly because it's not separate from you. It never has been. I'll leave you with this question to contemplate. If the same geometric principles organize both the cosmos and your consciousness, what does that reveal about the true nature of reality and your place within it? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the real meaning of sacred geometry. Until next time, may you see with new eyes the patterns that connect all things, including yourself.